Hi everyone, I'm Pradeep Devani. I am a trainer, consultant, and a mentor. The first thing which we need to understand is what exactly is the kernel. So many of the guys have the confusion over this point, like what exactly the kernel is. So if you ask me, kernel is nothing but an operating system. So you basically know about the operating system. It's like we also use the term OS over here. Now, the next question which comes to our mind is what exactly is the OS? So, if you see OS, I can define in a simple terminology as something like the one which manages the system resources. So, that's why we also call it as a system manager. So, immediately the next question which might come to your mind is what is what are the resources which you need to manage in the system? So, typically, you have five resources which the kernel needs to manage. So one of the important resource, of course, which you have got in your system is CPU. So you basically need to manage the processors. So the task of managing the processor is what we call it as a process management. Now, in the similar lines, you have another important resource because of which your system might not be able to function well, which we call it as a memory, the RAM. So you basically need to manage that as well. So the task of managing the memory is what we call it as a memory management. Now the next thing, of course, you have got is something called storage. That means the hard disk, the CD-ROMs, and all those kind of thing, where you store some data, the persistent memory. So the task of managing the storage accordingly is called the storage management. Now, apart from this, what we have is the inputs, the IOs. You basically have the keyboards, you have the mouse, and you have variety of other stuffs which you basically need to manage. So that particular task, accordingly, we call it as a IO management. And last but not least, what we have is something like a network. So the task of managing the network is accordingly known as network management. So overall, just to summarize, OS does five different tasks: the process management, the memory management, storage management, network management, and IO management. So the one who does this is what we call it as kernel.